Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Interactive Friction Season 2, Tomb Raider 2013, the grand finale.
Yeah. Good time.
I am your host, Brandon Lee Carey. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, soul transference expert and professional Let's Player, Samuel Callahan.
I am also a ghost hunter. You can call me up in my spare time for that.
Or are you a ghost buster?
I'm no good at the busting. I'm just good at staring at cameras and pretending there are things there.
If you can hear me, please say something.
Hi!
It doesn't exist, so we can't hear you.
Oh, ghosts. You're so crazy. And this is Matthias just kind of like reiterating his point of like, look, I've been here forever. Like,
I don't know if Laura says this line here or earlier in the game, but she will say a line where she talks about Matthias, and she says he's gone so crazy he might have come right back to sane.
Like, I don't think he's like a particularly great villain, but I do appreciate some of the lines where he says here, where it's like, it's cliche as all hell, like the idea of you
Unlike
have to
Whitman,
do harsh
he
things.
has an actual reason for doing this.
Yeah, and his thing is cliche about like, people have to do harsh things to survive, but in his case, it's not like he just got dumped on the island immediately. Like, he's been here for so long.
He's been here for
that
over a decade.
I can understand him wanting to get the fuck off at any means necessary.
Like, I am 21 years old. Like, he has spent half of my lifespan on that island. I imagine that would drive you pretty insane.
Like, I have
Or
to
at least pretty desperate.
I have to imagine that if he could somehow confirm that amputating all 4 of his limbs would get him off the island, he'd probably do it. Like, it's not even a matter of doing harm to other people. He's just willing to do whatever. It doesn't matter what it is.
He just wants to go home.
Yeah. And I can empathize
Sick
with
as
that to a certain
shit.
degree. It's just, I wish it was a bit more fleshed out. I wish it was a little less cliche, but it's still neat. And, like you said, just Whitman's just so bad in comparison because it's just the opportunist character. Just the,
Yeah.
I want to get rich off this.
Whereas Matthias is like, I just want to go home. You don't understand. I've been here for
He's
10 fucking years, lady. I've had enough, and I will kill you to go home.
He's almost like a tragic figure in that sense.
Yeah. Because this island has driven him completely insane. So insane that he might actually end up being the most sane person on the island.
I'm gonna have to remember how to do this puzzle. It's something to do with the bell opening door. It doesn't involve falling back.
Clearly it involves the wind in some way.
I thought it was like closing a shutter or something, but there's nothing to close. Oh, you know what? I think it's just the angle you pull the bell at. I think you just have to pull it sideways. And the wind should pull it.
So the wind can catch it.
Yeah, there we go. I'm a puzzle solver extraordinaire.
Yeah, but like when you have the Matthias, who could be made into a really good character if they just took a little bit more time with writing, and Whitman, who seems to be irredeemable at all, it's just interesting to compare those two. They're in the same game and written by the same person, or people.
Yep, I mean, it's one of those things, unfortunate about the game, is that, like, Laura's pretty well written, supporting cast, just not.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, if you're going to write someone really well, it might as well be the protagonist. It might as well be the leading character and her mentor figure.
Yeah, there's certainly been games where support characters are written better than the main character, and that's really off-putting.
It's like, why can't I play as that guy? Why do I have to be this asshole?
Like, I think if I remember correctly, you specifically said this at one point, but it's like, I wonder if the story would not be harmed by taking out all the supporting cast, like, just completely.
Yeah,
like, if
recall
anything, it might
that.
actually benefit from being, like, just Laura and Matthias duking it out over Sam.
Yeah.
If you could just say, like, everybody was killed in the
If you
crash.
could just give Sam a fucking character, then yes.
Like, if you imagine if it was just, like, oh god, why am I forgetting the mentor's name all of a sudden? Roth. I kept wanting to say Reyes. If it was, like, just Ross, Sam, and Laura who survived the crash, like, Grim, his character didn't really do much. It's like a scripted
He died
thing.
the first time we saw him outside the videotape.
Yeah. But it's like things like that, and it's like if you took him out, you could have had a much more personal story between Laura and Matthias basically being what Laura could become if she stayed on the island. And of course you could take out the whole Whitman bullshit because that really doesn't do anything.
Or like, yeah, like if you go back to like the old game stories, like if you talk to the Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, which people love that game, even though it wasn't a great story, but it was a pretty good one for a video game. Like, there were only 3 characters in that entire game.
Yeah.
There was the prince, Farah, and the evil vizier, and those were the only 3 characters in the entire game, and you didn't even see the vizier for like all of it.
Yeah, I definitely feel like games, at least, big budget games, I don't want to use terms like AAA or indie, but games, very big, very marketed games tend to have this problem where they don't want to do personal stories.
Or hell, even Vagrant Story, which is legendary for its story, has like a main cast of only 6 characters.
Yeah. I personally like my very personal stories between very, very small handful of people.
Yeah, because then you just gotta give them a lot of reasons to interact with each other.
Yeah.
And just let those interactions be the story.
Plus, I feel like it could have also benefited in the sense of it would give Laura a better sense of isolation if she didn't have the cast constantly talking to her. Like, if the pilot was like, oh, thank God, someone to fucking talk to and, help me out, and then, he dies. But with the supporting cast, like, it's just, they're always there, but they offset the tone of the game in a weird way.
They're this omnipresent yet absent entity in the game.
Yeah, they just really offset
because they
the game
don't really do anything. Not really. In fact, a lot of the time, a lot of the the story bits are them getting in trouble that Laura has to bail them out of.
Also, this is pretty creepy. When, Queen does her weird.
This is very rapey.
Yeah. It's creepy as all hell, one might also say.
Yeah. This is literally bodily invasion.
Yeah, I also, every time I see this, I have to wonder, like, just scientifically speaking, how long does a soul transfer actually take? It's like, you have a pretty long time.
It takes as long as the plot demands.
Yeah, you have a pretty decently long period of time here where you're fighting, and it's like, I wonder how long this takes.
That is a thing that is not unique to this game, or even to games in general.
Yeah. I mean, movies have had that problem.
Yeah. Like, oh yeah, this diffuse will blow up in exactly 2 minutes.
Yeah, isn't the bomb one like
8 minutes later,
problem?
there's only 1 minute left on the clock.
Yeah, that one's always been getting me since I was a kid. Like, just even as a child.
It gets everyone. Everyone says that, but like none of us actually mind that because otherwise we wouldn't be able to get that kind of dramatic tension out of it.
Well, it's just the movie would have to be scripted in quite a different way, where it actually have to move extremely fast.
Yeah, and that's why in a lot of RPGs they'll say, "Oh, it's urgent," without describing the exact length of time.
Yeah,
this urgent thing needs to be attended to.
The funny thing is, recently I've been playing an old PS2 game, Dragon Guard, and it had a couple of moments where, in the last mission I played, where it's like, the Imperial soldiers are taking down the temple, quickly get to them, and it's like, yeah, but the timer says I have 50 minutes for this whole level, so I'm just gonna keep killing these guys for a while.
Yeah. Well, like Elder Scrolls, this is like they're notorious.
Oh yeah, those are so bad. You gotta go save the world, but I could spend hundreds of in-game hours not doing so.
You could spend hundreds of in-game years doing so. Literally. Also, I mean, you will probably not play the game for that long, but you could.
Yeah. I don't know why, but I just kind of like I guess just the set of animations and design of like wind so powerful that you can't even stand in it.
Yeah.
So that's funny. Alright, so now we get the last...
This is our final push.
Yeah, I believe it's like this set of pirates and then the Oni, and that's it.
Yeah. And then there's the QTE with Matthias.
Right. Let's not forget the fucking boss fight with the big guy, because this game has to have a boss fight. Of
course, a video game boss fight. Although, it makes more sense for him to be invulnerable than that pirate dude from a couple episodes back.
Oh god, yeah, I already forgot about him.
Yeah, like, unlike the pirate dude, this guy actually has an excuse for being an unstoppable killing machine, because he's literally supernatural.
So one thing I've wondered about the Oni, and you may or may not know the answer to this, but are they actually alive, or are they like undead?
I believe in this game's lore, they are warriors who have pledged to serve Himiko even after death.
Okay.
So they are like zombies in a sense, but not really.
Yeah, it seems more like in the sense that like they're just vessels, like they're just like hollow. Like if anything, I was kind of
they have
disappointed when I
pledged their
saw.
bodies to her service even after death.
Yeah, if anything, I was kind of disappointed the first time I knocked their masks off and I saw that they had like regular faces. So I thought it'd be cool if they were skeletons.
Yeah,
it's just like the armor basically moves on its own.
Or if they had like glowing blue eyes or something.
Yeah, so it's kind of weird that they look like normal people still. Like that just, scientifically speaking, doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Especially considering the environment they live in. But
or if they had
scientific facts,
or if they had
fucking
become
samurai
monstrous, or
zombies.
demonic in some form.
Yeah. But we're discussing the scientific merits of samurai zombies.
Yeah, and keep in mind, supernatural powers can explain so many things.
Yeah, you're talking about transferring souls right now, with some
Yeah.
don't even exist. It's a pretty good movie that is one of my personal favorites called Ghost in the Shell, which discusses the idea of having a soul. What constitutes a soul. You should watch it sometime. It's pretty good. Roger Ebert actually reviewed it for Ad the Movies.
No, I've heard good things about this show. I've just never sat down to watch it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Alright, boss fight time. Look at this boss fight.
I don't get why the Oni is killing the pirates.
Maybe because he thinks they're trying to stop Himiko? I don't know. That's very good.
But, I mean, doesn't he know that they're Matthias' men?
Well, I mean, it didn't work for Whitman. Like, I don't think well, my understanding, because, remember the way that Matthias ran past the Oni? Like, it seems like they don't trust him either. Even if he has the prince.
Or maybe they're acting on pure instinct.
Like, I think that's what it is. I think they just kill everybody. Like, they don't discriminate.
Yeah, but this is such a video game boss.
It is. Also, first
Get
time
behind it. Get behind him, attack his back. Get behind him, attack his back, and then do the QTE.
Also, something I've noticed only this fourth time around that I find kind of disappointing in the Wake of Uncharted 2 is that Laura doesn't have a snow-based model. Like, she doesn't have one where she's covered in snow. Which, that's kind of disappointing, considering how many different versions of her that exist as far as different blood and mud and stuff
well,
like
since they already have those 3 different models, that might be asking for a lot.
I wonder if
to have like frostbite, to have like
work.
nearly frostbitten lore on top of that.
Yeah, because it never seemed like it when I was younger, but I understand that you have to put a lot of effort into creating different models, and especially like dynamic snow.
Well, it's not. It's the same model, but a different texture map, and texture maps are hard.
Yeah, so I can understand the idea that somebody would go, look, I can spend my time on better things than just
like,
one model from one end of the game.
Yeah. But like, it's all the same Lara Croft model, it's just a different texture for
oh man, it's like Dark Souls in here.
Texture and bump map.
This game is like Dark Souls, Brandon.
Yeah.
Except you just hit the Y button, and that's basically it.
You mean Bloodborne?
Yeah, right. Dark Souls. Same difference.
No, Demon Souls.
It's true. That's what I said on the podcast, and I stand by that. Bloodborne is a sequel to Demon Souls. Anyway, so we've all but beaten the game.
Yes.
Let's get my 40 salvage off him and some bullets, which we won't need because this is the last
I
QTE.
know, it feels so weird to collect salvage from this guy.
I mean, there's a post-game thing that you do where it's just like, hey, explore the island, so it makes sense.
Go for the soul transference ritual.
This is me very much overthinking it, but I think it's interesting the idea that she tries to use the bow, which is basically what we identify Lara Croft as in this game, and it actually doesn't work, so she has to use 2 pistols, which is what we used to understand Lara Croft as using.
Which brings us into the Lara Croft that we know.
Yeah, like it feels like the bow being snatched out of her hands is metaphorical for saying that's the old Lara Croft, this is the new one.
Yeah.
Which the new one is the old one.
This just shows you how she's progressed over the course of the game.
Yeah, used to use a handmade bow, now she's building 2 pistols.
Yeah, she's going rock on his ass.
LTRT. Long, sharp death scream. That's a great closed caption. That should be what this episode's called. Long, sharp death scream. Oh, that would be great. Also, like how you just...
Yeah, and then we find out, as it turns out, the best way to stop a soul transfer ritual is just totally shoot the person.
Also, I like how you get within, like, the soul transfer beam. Like, does that not do anything? Like, does he not, like, get part of your soul merged?
Or does it not interrupt ritual at all? Since you're...
See, I remember the first time I saw this, I guess because I'm a computer person, I thought like, so did she lose like 57% of her soul or something? Like,
yeah.
I thought of it like a computer file transfer process where it's like, is this all or nothing? Like,
well, that would be the biggest analogy to it.
Yeah.
What's going on here? Like, what did the process got aborted, so everything went back to normal,
yeah,
and just thinks has some corrupt soul data in her
Oh, corrupt soul data.
that is now useless.
Anyway, so we beat Tomb Raider.
I thought it would have been a cool twist if they had maybe tried to imply that maybe the procession didn't fail. I thought that could have been something they could have done, maybe.
It could have, but I probably would have hated that because that would almost seem like obvious sequel bait.
Yeah, but I mean, then,
or if you mean the sense that like if Sam got messed up by it, because yeah, I thought you meant the sense of like Sam becomes Himiko or something like that, because that'd be dumb.
Well, like,
but it's
Sam
the idea of like
becomes,
Sam getting
part
permanently
Himiko.
physically scarred by this.
Or if she became like part Himiko, like it didn't fully transfer, but like you got that half the soul that makes her maybe a bit rougher.
I don't know.
And then there's the obvious like, oh, now Himiko's dead, therefore
The island is beautiful.
the sun comes out.
Yep. Because that's how magic works, I guess.
I guess since Himiko is the one controlling the weather, that actually might make sense, but it's still such a hammy metaphor.
Yeah. The light at the end of the tunnel kind of thing.
Yeah. Like, so super hammy.
Yep. This ending's not terribly great, but it's one of those cases where it's like, this game was so damn good up till it, it's like, sure, whatever.
I guess you
Works.
earned that.
Yeah. It's just kind of a whatever ending, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's such obvious symbolism that it...
Yeah. I see what you mean, like, in terms of, like, what's happening right now. It's like, yeah, it's whatever. It's just, the hero saved the day.
Yeah,
what
and
cost?
Sam didn't learn anything from this besides, well, I guess I was kidnapped.
I really wonder what Sam, if any, what kind of part Sam will have in the next game, if any.
I doubt if she will have any part.
Well, my guess is if anybody comes up in the next game, it'd be Sam. You know, but you're right. They're probably gonna ditch the entire cast and just say it's about Laura and it's about her memories of Roth, basically.
Like, unless Jonas decides to stick with her as like or like they stick with her as mission control or something.
God, that'd be so much better.
Where they stay off site in like in like
Stay
the
the fuck
mansion.
away from me.
And we just hear correspondence from them so that we know something's happening in the outside world as we're progressing through the game.
Yeah. Also, this is a great piece of music that was used in the teaser trailer that I put up, which then got copyright claimed by YouTube. Fun stuff.
And this is where we go into Laura Croft's backstory of how her parents disappeared after trying to look for a mysterious artifact, which never came up until now.
Well, they had to go with some reason for her to be gone.
That would have been nice to know at the start of the game, when you were, introducing the characters and their backstories.
Also, like, this is pretty good, but also kind of bad at the same time, where it's just like, I'm a changed person. Look at this person, tell me how changed I am by my demeanor.
And
then they have this like, oh so obvious, we're gonna make a sequel. Which, know, normally I'd be pissed at, but I was so fucking happy with this game the first time I played it. I was like, yes, God, make another. This
is basically a superhero origin story, and you knew it coming into the game. That was the whole point, was this is an origin story.
Yeah. And like...
a survivor is born.
Yeah, that's really...
I wish that they didn't use Survivor.
I wish they didn't have that, because it's one of those cases of like, you're explicitly telling me what I already realized.
I think that's not bad, but the problem I have is that the word survivor kind of almost demeans what Laura went through in this game. Where she didn't just survive, she figured out how to like basically thrive against all these odds.
Interesting thought. I didn't think
she's not really a survivor so much as she's a hero, really.
Anyway, with the credits rolling, I guess it's time to get into overall thoughts about this game.
Again, if you compare this game with Far Cry 3, it does generally the same thing with the story, where you have this plucky kid who's relatively inexperienced and gradually, through the course of many trials and tribulations, grows into this supreme badass, but it does it in such a more believable way than Far Cry 3 could ever hope to have done.
Yeah, For the most part, you know, Far Cry 3 and Tomb Raider both have problems with their supporting characters.
Yes,
in the sense that they also both only have like one good supporting character in Lisa and Roth.
Yes.
And I feel like both of them would have been better without it. But, you know, Tomb Raider really nails the character arc from, like, it's a pretty smooth progression from
in the presentation
to taking over.
And the presentation here is so much better.
Yes.
And you can, and in this game, you can understand how Laura now commands the respect from her side characters much more than no one really understood. I never really understood why the people in Jason's posse ever like looked up to him at all. I never understood that.
Well, it seems like they all suffer from like the Sam problem. If they were just so scared, it's like you're actually doing something, and it's like, yeah, but it's just, it's not a good character.
Yeah.
I'm really curious what they're going to do with the sequel. You know, like I've mentioned in episodes before, it looks like they're going the route of, like, you know, some kind of post-traumatic stress disorder based on what she's experienced, which that would require a really deft hand in terms of writing, so I'm really curious.
I do like that they're trying to be a bit more, finger quotes, realistic in how they portray the psychological effects of this kind of trauma.
Yeah.
Because in a typical video game, they wouldn't even look over that at all.
And I really do hope that that leads to like a more low-key sort of story, because this one towards the end just became such a crazy action movie that it robbed it a bit of its
There is going to be this is going to be an Uncharted-esque game. Let's not pretend that's going to be otherwise, Sam. You know.
Well, I mean, with that setup, there's a potential for it to be something else, but
it's not going to be very subtle. It's probably going to end up being very similar to this game in that it's going to be very set piece driven towards the later half of the game. I'd be willing to bet that it's going to be very similar in that regard.
I don't know. I could see it going either way, but we'll see. I don't know much more I could say about this game. Like, I've sung its praises throughout this entire LP. I love this game.
In a mechanical sense, this game works very well.
Yeah.
Like the stealth mechanics, the combat mechanics, the platform mechanics, they all really do kind of interweave each other in a way that's very, very pleasant to play.
Indeed.
And it feels good.
So, do you have anything else to say, Brandon, before we wrap up here?
I think I've gone over most of my compliments and criticisms in the game as we progressed through the Let's Play. I mean, I can't say anything more than I haven't already said. Like, I don't like Sam. I find that she is useless.
Right.
She, like, not to say that, of course, you're going to get scared, but they don't really sell that she is scared enough that she can't do anything. She's just kind of, you know, there. And if they had focused a bit more on her as much as they did Laura, like if we had some scenes from her perspective, that would have been really interesting.
Yeah. That just goes back to my earlier point where I feel like this would have done better as a more personal story about four people: Sam, Roth, Lara, and Matthias. Yeah,
like we didn't need Whitman, we didn't need Alex, we didn't need Reyes or Jonas. They don't really need to be there.
I've already completely forgot about Alex. Not joking. that's kind of sad. Wow.
That was in the and we recorded that batch a few days ago.
Yeah.
As the time of this recording.
Anyway, on that note, gonna do a quick wrap up here. If you like this video, you can hit the like button below. Also, if you like this series, you might as well hit the like button below. Might as well. It's fun. You know, hit the like button.
If you did like this series, feel free to share it with your friends who might enjoy this, because we would love to hear more people watching this and talk with them about what they think of the game as well.
Yeah, I'd love to hear some new perspectives on this game, especially the different things that we bring up. So of course, if you want to see future Let's Plays from us, you can always subscribe. You know, it may not seem like much, but other people subscribing really means a lot to me, and it really makes me and Brandon more excited to do more LPs.
And we will go on after Tomb Raider. This is not the end, not by a long shot. If we have anything to say about it, we have a very long list of things that we have all the intention of doing.
Well, by the time you're watching this, we're probably already started Season 3 on our recordings.
Yeah. We have a bit of a backlog of things to post.
So, like I said, you can always subscribe to check out.
And that ends
future
up being
stuff
good
by
for
us.
you because that means you get a very constant stream of content.
Right. And of course, if you want to comment about the events that happened in this episode, you can do so. Or if you'd like to lead some feedback as it relates to this episode or this whole series and how we do it, we always appreciate some new criticisms and some new insights. In the description below, you can also find our Twitter accounts where we tend to talk a lot about video games and such. Sometimes I don't talk about video games. It's on a rare occasion. And you can also find links to both of our personal blogs where we talk about games.
I basically only talk about video games in my blog.
True. I talk about other stuff.
I do have other interests, but like I don't feel like I can talk about them as much as I can talk about games.
Yeah. Oh, Liam O'Brien was in this. Check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah. That guy's everywhere. Anyway, so we will see you guys in the next season of Interactive Friction.
A Let's Play is born.
Get excited for Season 3 of Interactive Friction. Well, we will see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.